I don't know if you all remember or not, but we have an event center we're planning out at the AJ Farm. So I want to introduce the architects that have been working hard on that is Maggie Wojin and Steve Scribner with Shape Architecture, and they've got a presentation tonight showing us the latest design, and they've incorporated all of the input that we had provided earlier to them. So I'll leave it to them. Thank you.
Where should we go?
Right here,
Right here?
at the podium, please.
Awesome. Well, first of all, thank you all for the opportunity to be here. It's been a really rewarding and fun project to work on. And we also want to thank you for the feedback we've gotten through Bob and John. And we think that the project's in a really great spot right now, thanks to you guys and for having a little trust in us. And like I said, it's been a great project, and we're really excited to get it to the next step, hopefully built. So, did I go the wrong way? I did. So this is a sketch we did before we even had the job, but we came and we saw the site, and the idea of just locating the center, the event center, in the location of the existing barn, so that it was kind of centered on that meadow. And we really wanted it so when you came in from the street, you could see the entry as you came down that drive aisle. And I think it's sort of those principles have really stayed intact. And then that south patio that overlooks that creek, and expanded open space on that side, as well as just creating a really seamless way for wheelchair access, and then keeping catering access to the back. We feel like those kind of basic principles still stayed in the design. And the only thing different about this is we rotated the picture 90 degrees. And just a couple things to note here: there will be a few fewer trees, and we took those out after we shared the PDF. John, so apologies for that. But then also the idea, there'll be a little bit of expanded parking off to the west with a little bit of an overflow lot, so there should be adequate parking. But as you can see, there's sort of additional gable at that front entrance, so you see where you're going when you first drive into the site. We're keeping pretty good connection to the existing house to the northeast, and really clear wayfinding to that entrance. And there's going to sort of be a lot of windows along that north side, so you can see in, as well as kind of keeping that connection up to the main house.
Yep, so as you can see, we're still in the same orientation as the last image that we were looking at. You can see that gable-covered entry to the north there, surrounded on both sides by those windows. And we think that'll just let in some light, and it's mirrored on the south side of the building, again, for light and kind of exterior access. That brings you into this main event space, kind of a great hall of sorts. There are lots of different seating orientations. The space is designed to fit up to, actually really a few more than 200 people. The occupancy exceeds that. But as you can see, super flexible space. Could be designed for weddings, for other sorts of events. But really it pushes all of that event space and public-facing area towards the east, which is like the nicest part of the property. It has really, really, really good light. And for weddings, of course, it gives you a bunch of different opportunities for like an actual ceremony space, something sort of grand east-facing. And so then on the left side of the screen, you'll see all of our back-of-house program. And there's a little chart there, but I'll just run you through it. Up at the very north, there's the catering kitchen, flanked to the right by a public bar or buffet, depending on your event. A hallway separates that space from the groom's room on the left, and then a large storage space for coats, for AV equipment, other miscellaneous storage, tables even. And then right below that, number 8 is the office, sort of admin space. You have a janitor's closet and a men's bathroom right next to that, kind of centrally located near the women's bathroom, which is just down the hall from the bride's room. Having those in close proximity is pretty important. And so our idea with that was kind of just getting those things out of the way of the space that you would actually want to be occupying in this building for an event, and pushing it kind of towards the part of the property that can be really utilitarian and can be kind of out of the way for the user experience.
Just a couple things to highlight too is that the bride's room is pushed to that southeast corner, so it sticks out, so you get really nice light on two sides, and this great access to that south patio. And I think those tri-folding doors are going to be really sweet. When they're all open. You can kind of just inhabit the indoors and outdoors seamlessly.
We were trying to think of ways to make these spaces feel special for the bride and groom, as well as just the occupants in general. Make it so that people enjoy being in the building.
And then the south area there in front of those little columns that are shown, that's shaded, that's covered. So it won't ever be overheating from the south orientation of all that glass. I think that shaded porch space is going to be essential to not getting uncomfortable in there.
And it's not exactly shown in this picture, but that patio space that Steve was just talking about connects out to the east-facing patio. So it's all very seamless. It's meant to be very indoor-outdoor. So this is kind of just an illustration. We had actually planned on this slide being animated with several different iterations of how this space could be occupied. That didn't come through, so our bad. But this is how it would look with a wedding, sort of guests flowing throughout it. And that, again, that indoor-outdoor connection. So then we created some visuals to really help bring this project to life. And so this is kind of looking from the northeast towards the barn, towards the south. So you can see that gabled entry. This is an interior view, kind of a sort of sample of what it would look like with some people inhabiting it. As you can see, it's like this really voluminous space. It's really high ceilings that's going to have chandeliers and some ceiling fans to help keep it cool and comfortable and light-filled all day.
I'm just going to interject to say that we're doing another wedding venue barn in Colorado with the same legacy post-theme company that's represented here, and that project's been built. It's not 100% complete, but the space, all the legacy work is done, and it feels fantastic in terms of the scale. And this is the exact same scale. It's one day longer, but that sort of volume, we're really excited about that. Feeling like not too, it's really spacious, but it's not, you don't feel lost in it.
So this is another view, kind of taking it in a different direction, knowing that a lot of these events that will be held here will be nighttime events, and sort of showing how that could be illuminated and what that space feels like from the exterior. This is looking towards the east wall of the building. So now we're going to jump into some interiors. We have been developing these in the past few weeks, again, trying to give the project its next level of detail. And so my vision really for this space, as we were getting into this, is that it would be really nice to play up some of the kind of industrial heritage of the area, but then also just really make sure that it feels like authentically a barn. We don't want to try to make it something that just doesn't feel right for the space. So with that, a lot of these materials that you'll see on this page and the following pages are meant to kind of enhance and play up those, the raw materials that are going to be built, or that the barn will be built out of, like wood, exposed concrete, playing up some of those metal accents. So this page is, think of it as kind of like a materials palette, if you will, for the bathrooms. And so it was meant to be, very gender neutral, easy to apply to both men's and women's bathrooms. So lots of neutrals. We're using, simple materials like white wall tile to help brighten the space, but also make it more durable and give it, a subway tile kind of feel. There will be exposed concrete. I don't think we mentioned this, but exposed concrete floors throughout the barn. And I think, some of these materials are meant to kind of soften that, because with concrete floors, a lot of times, it can start to feel cold when you're pairing white with concrete. So we wanted to bring in a lot of these warm wood elements and warm wood tones. And also just to accentuate the posted beam structure. That's kind of the whole point of this barn to begin with. So let's see, in this image, we're kind of just keeping it simple. We want it to be, like I said previously, neutral, this palette to be applied throughout all of the rooms. So here's kind of what that looks like, sort of low level, not quite a rendering, but just a view from our model. Kind of balancing out those woods and white tones with simple, neutral, easily maintained materials. So here is a palette for the bridal suite, which could also be applied to the groom's suite. The goal here was to make this space feel a little bit more special, like, you know, I'm actually planning my own wedding for the summer, so it was really easy to put my head into a space where like a bride would want to spend time. And so incorporating some of those marble tones, make it feel slightly more elevated, but still simple, still authentically industrial and barn-like. Again, with the simple light fixtures, really incorporating like these black metal tones throughout, and not getting too crazy with the palette. So this is kind of, again, a low-level rendering of what that would look like. What's not pictured in this view is the wall of like large windows that we have to the south of this, which is just going to fill this space with light and make it really, really photogenic. You know, you could pair it with curtains, for example, and just give it that like special quality. You can see in all of these views, like the exposed post and beam structure on top. So you have wood purlins and wood tongue and groove ceiling, which will be exposed to help balance out some of those warm and cool tones. Okay, so this is a palette for the bar, incorporating similar materials as found elsewhere in this building, again with the woods and concrete tones, and then just trying to elevate this space by bringing in a touch of something maybe a little bit more, what's the word? I guess industrial chic, if you will. So incorporating some of those light fixtures with a metal accent, like the metal mesh surrounding this glowing bulb, and metal mesh, or really hog wire, on the front of the bar to help root it in kind of the agricultural heritage of the property, but give it a little bit of something extra to differentiate it from the rest of the event space, and make it so that people walk in and they see that and they're like, that's where the bar is. That's where I want to go. Balancing it again, though, with dark, actually, I should probably go to the next slide for this. So the vision here was really that it would contrast from the rest of the barn by being kind of a void, design-wise, being separated from the rest of the event space by being kind of a darker, more moody space, which also sort of lends itself to, you know, keeping it looking clean and durable. We use basically lots of darker materials here. One thing that's not shown on this sheet is like just a dark tile to help it really be durable, but cleanable and simple. And then contrasting that with some of the lighter wood tones.
One thing we were just conscious of is making sure that it wasn't super bright. If there's weddings or other things going on with mood, you don't want that kind of like brightness sort of distracting you.
So yeah, that's kind of how this is looking like at this stage. Not fully baked, but really just trying to give this a little bit of something extra. And so that brings us to the event space generally. This page probably should have been first because it kind of sets the tone for the whole space. It's really, really simple. It's just the concrete, the wood, and black and white accents to keep it so that also when people are renting out this space for weddings, other events, their color palette for their wedding will fit seamlessly into the space. And so really, that's kind of how this is looking. We've seen this view before, but yeah, just a really, really nice, like light-filled space that I think people really want to have weddings at and other events.
That's all we got.
Quick question for you guys, and thank you so very much. Go back one slide for me, 1 second. HVAC, is this going to be like round duct that's going to go through this, or how's that look to be?
Great question. Yeah, that's something we should have, could have represented here, but a pair of spiral duct sort of flanking the center posts, so pretty high up and well above the fan.
This big boy sweat a little bit. So we can have a little AC in there.
We also have, in addition to that, because yes, we do need that return duct to get all the way out to that east side. But we do also have ceiling fans up there because we know that, yeah, like when you get a building full of people, you want to keep that cool. That's air circulation.
And upstairs is still going to be a storage facility
Yes,
that just,
sorry, we failed to mention that. Yes, the upstairs is just loft storage, mechanical equipment.
accessible only from outside.
Correct.
Great. Is there any chance of, if you can go back to like your second slide, I know we don't have probably time for these questions, sorry. Looking for future additive of a ceremony pad?
Oh, you mean like in the east yard?
Anywhere here? I don't, not as familiar as I should be, but, you know, it's, that will be something that is asked.
Well,
If
I
there's
think
an
the
outside.
answer is for sure. That concrete patio that's to the east is pretty large, so probably not a full 200-person wedding, but a fairly large wedding could be held outside directly, outside those doors. Yeah, this is better for that. Pretty generous, but then it does slope down. We've actually raised the barn a little from existing grades so that when you're coming down the road, it doesn't feel too sunken below. But then we were out there today, and just the whole field has that beautiful tree. It's kind of amazing. Like, we think it's centered on this gable, and from that 16-foot wide window door, there's kind of like one lone tree out in the field. So we were sort of assuming a lot of people would want to have their weddings there, have an arbor or something.
Right.
But we hadn't talked about a pad of any kind. Certainly very achievable and probably easy to do later. We were going to have a little bit of power supply just to ground box outside there to just be flexible.
And that's what the question was going to be, is if we could run at least some sort of electrical out to that tree or whatever it would be to possibly have future.
We don't have that in the scope now. Yeah, let's talk about, we could definitely do that. We do have some to the east of this pad, so you wouldn't have to cut up any concrete to get to it.
Which then might not even be necessary at the moment, right? But if we're laying concrete, it's easier to put it down now than it would be.
Yeah, definitely thought about that to get out past the concrete.
Last question. You mentioned the Colorado facility. Anything you would have done different in the Colorado facility that you would bring here that we're not thinking of?
There's several things that we are doing here that, like just, not painting the beams black.
Yeah,
Which had
the owner had a specific idea. It was actually cool because we were out there and we were asking ourselves that, and we really didn't come up with anything serious. They have the loft as part of it, so there's a stair, execution on that, some things there, but really the space feels great. I think one thing is they were going to have a projector facing in front of the windows, and we kind of looking at that in sight, it seemed like if they were going to have a display, having it on the left side.
Yeah, I think for our side, we'd want it on the west side here so we could have no windows backfill.
Right, that's
That
something
makes
that,
sense.
I think that was, their plan was to put on, in their case, the sort of east of this, the south, and they did end up switching that.
I mean, a lot of the other things that I would have changed were results of specific sort of site limitations that they had that you guys fortunately
Well, honestly, you've got, this is a 12-foot base, and so there's 3 bays in the back of the house, which is something that I think you all kind of had the feedback, and we think that's probably, the bride's suite and the groom suite is definitely more generous here, and that's great. That other venue had a separate house.
Sure. How's it?
Question, on this drawing here, are those little squares, is that the posts, so there's just 3 in the event space?
So yes, let me go to a 3D view. Yeah, this will help. Because you can see 2 of them here in that sort of, front of the view.
It's called a lean-to is what they call it.
Right, so
The left
those
side of the view.
posts separate the vaulted gable space from a lower shed roof. And also in this view, you can see like a pretty thick beam right above. And that's basically to get a post out of the way of the entry. So what we did here was make it so that as people in mass are flowing into this space, they're not going to be immediately, as soon as they get into the building, like hit with a post and have to go around it. This kind of allows a more seamless transition from exterior to interior.
But you do see all of the posts on the far wall as you come in, so you see that post being
They're proud of the wall.
Then there's one other picture, it was the bar. And so, there, back one. That picture on the far left shows like a tile type floor, but is that just that's not, we're not doing that.
Yeah, that's just a precedent image for the way that we would maybe integrate the hog wire mesh into
Okay.
the millwork. Yeah, and backlight it and that kind of effect, but no tile.
So the floor is like a stamped concrete or just
Yes,
plain
it's going to be basically a burnished concrete.
throughout.
Yes.
One more question about the bar. And the same picture here. Are we going to have the shelving and everything behind it like this picture shows?
So as it is, we don't have any shelving. We have. Okay, so as drawn, you can kind of see number 3 there. That's the bar. It has like an L-shaped millwork, so there's no space for shelves, but there's lots of under cabinet storage. And that top of countertop sort of doubles as like where you would make your drinks or where you would serve them or where you'd have a buffet.
There was some discussion, and I think where we ended up was just, it's not a bar, right? It's not like you're going to the bar and you're gonna have all the whiskey and everything, because it's sort of more of a temporary setup each time. So using more counters versus having, it's not gonna be a permanent display of whiskey.
The other thing I was thinking about too.
Not opposed to that.
It could be also a really cool space to have like bride and groom signage or like the drinks menu, on that back wall.
I like that idea. The last wedding I went to, they had pictures of
Oh,
all their
that's so cute.
parents and themselves and whatnot behind the bar. And it was awesome. They were all black and whites, like 11 by 17s.
Cool.
That would be cool.
That would
That would be cool.
And like leaving that space flexible, yeah, just so that it can be kind of like have a little bit of added touch from the bride and groom. That would be cool. As drawn, we have it as kind of a plaster finish, which you kind of see in this view, just to give it a little bit more texture, and make it so that it is dark, but it's not stark.
It's a little shine in a nice way. Not too distracting.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Well, let us know through John or Bob if you have any other questions anytime. Happy to come back.
Thank you.
All right, up next, we'll have Chief Ferris give a brief presentation on the Blue Shield program for the state. It's actually a way to hold police departments accountable for doing what they need to do, and it's tied the funding to grants that we actually apply for, gives us preferential treatment, and so he's going to just give a brief outline on what's involved in that, which we're mostly doing anyway, so. Take it away.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council. The good thing is I'm not going to tell you anything you have to do that's different than what we're already doing. This is really just kind of an overview. This program came out earlier, right after the first of the year, and was done by an executive order setting up this Blue Shield program. The nice thing was that every one of the requirements to have that designation we've either already done, which you'll see, I'll give you some examples here, or it was already our common practice to be eligible for grant funding. The nice thing is they're now designating about another $10 million in grant funding to help support law enforcement training, recruiting, retention, things like that, that all of us are probably struggling with a little bit. Again, this is nothing different than what we've been doing. So I'm just going to kind of walk you through what, our commitment right out of your goals: keep Gladstone a safe place with focus on crime prevention, traffic enforcement, recruitment of high quality police officers, firefighters, and EMS personnel. And that was one of the one of the criteria that you'll see here in a little bit. And you'll see that these are all of which are things that we've already been doing. So the eligibility criteria, one, we have to pass a resolution with that demonstration, which will be before you tonight. It's already spelled out. Criteria number two, making extraordinary investments in public safety funding. I don't think anybody can argue here that $14.5 million brand new structure, co-located communications center, the investments we've made in technology and equipment such as the license plate readers. We did a complete replacement of all the in-car and body cams last year. The entire regional radio system replacement that was done in 2021. Is that right, Bob? Yeah, 21. And a complete updating of the police fleet vehicle is a pretty extraordinary investment, I would say, by anybody's measure. Implement community policing initiatives or local partnerships to improve public safety. We've continued to build on the CIT response team that you all helped formulate when we brought on Beacon Mental Health and North Kansas City Hospital with their clinicians and mental health workers that now work out of the PD 3 to 4 days a week. That also includes, and I forgot to put it on here, codes enforcement is also part of that team, and fire and EMS were brought in to get the paramedic perspective as well. They're working those cases every single week. They sit down and go through everything we've had for the week and have made a significant dent in the number of kind of repeat mental health calls that we've had to deal with across all those disciplines, PD, fire, codes enforcement. Increased efforts in community outreach. Coffee with Cops, we've done a ton of those the last couple of years. Shop with a Cop really got a big boost this past year. National Night Out, we took a step towards getting more involved in that. There'd been a big pause on that, obviously after COVID and things like that. And then we're also participating in the National Faith and Blue Weekend, which is another national program trying to bring the faith communities, neighborhoods, all those things together for a weekend. Regular participation in stakeholder meetings with organizations such as Synergy Services, which Councilmember Spallo turned us on to about a year ago. Regular attendance at the Northland Neighbors Inc. meetings and trying to stay plugged into those HOA. They have a president's meeting coming up here in, I think, 2 weeks. We try to stay plugged into those meetings as well. Establish law enforcement officer recruitment and retention programs. This is just a never ending. We're always trying to figure out what's the next latest, greatest, where haven't we gone? Who haven't we touched? So we've, paid particular attention when we are doing those recruiting to the city's commitment to remaining competitive and paying benefits and the work that's gone into that, especially this year and in past years. Always looking for other recruiting opportunities and career fairs outside the Kansas City Metro. We sent some recruiters down to Wichita about a week ago for a career fair down there, trying to tap into some areas that maybe aren't quite as competitive as we are in the Kansas City market, and maybe try to drag some of those people up here as well. And then we're also in the process of doing an in-house recruiting video. Got some amazing talent in the social media realm within the department. Fire department's got a great videographer, and trying to increase that social media presence by advertising those kind of pay and benefits, highlighting the PD and things like that. Participation in regional anti-crime task forces or commit to future ones. We've pretty much done everything we can there. We've got a full-time detective that's been assigned to the RCFL, which is the Regional Computer Forensics Lab, has been there for years, actually one of their main trainers up there, and the benefits we get from that are immeasurable. You all approved us joining the Child Exploitation and Human Trafficking Task Force a couple of years ago. Detective Prindle has been instrumental in, even as a part-time task force position, they've come to rely on him, and he's really becoming kind of a go-to person in that task force, and they've had some incredible saves, both in our area and kind of regionally, nationally. And then finally, the Project Safe Neighborhoods Task Force, which is an ATF one, focused on helping to get guns out of, gun crimes and putting some teeth to some of those crimes that we now have the ability to kind of work those ourselves. Also continue to be members of the Kansas City Major Metro Squad, and our investigators are in the criminal Clay County Investigative Squad, which is kind of a pool of all the Northland chiefs and sheriff's department. And operates a little bit like a Metro Squad if we had something that was big enough that we needed more detectives, but maybe didn't rise to the level of a Metro Squad. And then compliance with Missouri crime reporting traffic stop data. These are statutorily required for us to annually report the number of stops we have, demographics on the city, demographics on our stops. So every time an officer here stops somebody, they have to do a data entry listing the reason for the stop, what was the outcome, and all that. We have to report that every year to the state of Missouri. This is, there are agencies out there probably don't follow that rule to a T, and I think that's really part of the impetus behind this designation is there's so much grant money available in the state that they're trying to make sure that agencies are following those rules, if that mandatory reporting, so that we have an accurate depiction of things like, bias-based policing. Are we in compliance there? Are we, following all of our federal reporting requirements on crime stats, things like that. Us being a nationally accredited agency also kind of takes us to a higher standard. So like I said, a lot of the things that are required by this Blue Shield designation, we've been doing for years and continue to do and kind of improve on. What I just said there, and the resolution tonight really is saying, we've done it, we've been there, done that, we're going to keep doing it, and I'll take any questions you might have.
Any questions of Chief Ferris? I have a non-related question.
No, I can't yet, I have another ticket.
As you well know, some of us take the fireworks ordinance in the city rather seriously. And the Village of Oakview was kind enough to allow a fireworks distribution warehouse to open at 64th and North Oak. What are your plans for ramping up enforcement this year? It's probably going to be through the roof.
It's going to, yeah, from looking at that, I just drove by it the other day. That's actually a pole barn. That doesn't even have a floor in it. I can't tell if they're going to sell out of there, if they're going to just store things there. I think the fire department's going to have a bigger problem with it than we are. The last 2 or 3 years, since I've been here on 4th of July, we've actually put on some overtime spots just to handle fireworks complaints. That allows the officers working those shifts just to worry about the calls for service. And we've got 2-man cars out just handling fireworks complaints and dealing with those. I forwarded an email to Austin here a little bit ago. I've already gotten one. The fireworks question's already coming in. I don't know if that has anything to do with that place or not, but I can't really predict what that's going to do, honestly. I mean, all I do every 3rd of July is pray for rain.
It's on your radar, though.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Talk about the monies that are available through this program, Chief.
Okay, so I'll give you an example. We just signed one tonight. We applied for a block grant this past year. And we've done that every year. There's eligible block grant money. So if you recall, maybe 2 years ago, there was a matching grant deal that we used to buy that drug analyzer. A lot of these block grants and those matching grants, they spell out certain things we have to do. Have to have a mandatory vest policy. We have to have, the annual reporting of our traffic stop data, things like that. We just got approved for a grant we applied for last year, but everything kind of got hung up and everything going on the last 6 months to buy a rifle grade shield so the patrol officers have got a good ballistic shield out in the field that's rifle capable. Those are very expensive items, and for us not to have to take that out of budgetary, we just applied for it, got approved for it, and we'll get those. We've got 2 of those coming this year. Things like that, training, equipment. I really haven't seen where I don't know how they're really thinking we're going to allocate money to recruiting and retention, but training equipment's always a big thing because those, as you know, this is an expensive proposition. Law enforcement is anymore. Costs of everything keep going up. Equipment has end of life timelines on them and expiration dates. So we're doing our best to just try to make sure that we keep the best equipment out there, and this will help us do that.
And are these federal funds or state funds through this program?
For this program, this will be the state funding, any of the money that's allocated through this.
And so what department in the state handles that to say, yes, you can, no, you can't have this
The
grant?
Department of Public Safety. So
Okay.
all law enforcement activities from our post certifications, as certified officers to anything operating within the state goes under the Department of Public Safety.
And how much money did they say is available in this fund
They're allocating 10 million
for the whole state?
for the whole state. However,
Whomever.
not everybody puts in for this stuff. We didn't for a long time, but free money's free money, and I look for ways to do that.
Do you know, are there other municipalities in the area that are already designated as this, as Blue Shield?
A great deal of them have. We're kind of last to the table because we wanted to make sure that we got it on the agenda and got everything written up right. But there's a list online that'll show all the cities across the state that have already come online.
So funding's probably pretty robust in terms of lots of communities vying for the same money.
If they put in for it.
Right.
You'd be surprised at how many agencies don't put in for this.
Thank you. Anything else?
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Anything else, Mr. Bear? We shall convene
Mayor, we're done.
at 7:30 for our regular council meeting. Good evening. Call to order the regular. Thank you. Next item is approval of the agenda. Is there any changes, additions, corrections to the agenda? And just shall stand approved as printed. And next item is approval of the April 28, 2025 closed city council meeting minutes.
Mayor Smith,
Mayor Pro Tem Moore.
I move for the approval of the April 28, 2025 closed city council meeting minutes.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 6 is approval of the April 28, 2025 regular city council meeting minutes.
Mayor Smith,
Mayor Pro Tem Moore.
I move for the approval of the April 28, 2025 regular city council meeting minutes.
Second?
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Next 3 items are proclamations that the council wishes to issue, and Mayor Pro Tem Gene Moore is going to present those for us.
So our first one tonight is for Older Americans Month, and that's Sue Bacon who's going to receive this proclamation. Whereas May is Older Americans Month, a time for us to recognize and honor the city of Gladstone older adults and their influence on every facet of American society. And whereas through their wisdom and wealth of life experiences, older adults make immeasurable contributions to the community through intergenerational relationships, community service, civic engagement, and many other activities. And whereas communities benefit when people of all ages, abilities, and backgrounds have the opportunity to participate and thrive. And whereas the city of Gladstone must ensure that older Americans have the resources and support needed to stay independent and involved in their communities, reflecting our commitment to inclusivity and connectedness. Now, therefore, I, Les Smith, Mayor of the City of Gladstone, Missouri, on behalf of the members of the Gladstone City Council and all Gladstone residents, do hereby proclaim May 2025 as Older Americans Month. This year's theme, Flip the Script on Aging, encourages individuals and organizations in the community to challenge stereotypes and dispel misconceptions of older adults and to embrace the positivity of aging. We call upon all residents to join us in recognizing the value and contributions of our older citizens and promoting programs and activities that reshape how we perceive, talk about, and approach aging.
On behalf of Clay County Senior Services, I thank the Gladstone City Council for recognizing the value of older Americans, and we appreciate the partnership that Clay County Senior Services enjoys with the City of Gladstone. And we congratulate you on your success in making the city a community for all ages, and we look forward to continuing our partnership.
Next one is for National Police Week. Good. Everybody.
Great over here. That'd be a fact.
Anybody here? Whereas there are more than 800,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the Gladstone Police Department. And whereas since the first recorded death in 1786, there are currently more than 24,000 law enforcement officers in the United States who have made the ultimate sacrifice and been killed in the line of duty. And whereas the names of these dedicated public servants are engraved on the walls of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C., and whereas 345 new names of fallen heroes are being added to the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial this spring, including 148 officers killed in 2024 and 197 officers killed in previous years. And whereas the service and sacrifice of all officers killed in the line of duty will be honored during the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund's 37th Candlelight Vigil on the evening of May 13, 2025. And whereas the Candlelight Vigil is part of National Police Week, which will be observed this year, May 11 through 17. And whereas May 15 is designated as Peace Officers Memorial Day, in honor of all fallen officers and their families, and U.S. flags should be flown at half-staff. Now, therefore, I, Les Smith, Mayor of the City of Gladstone, Missouri, on behalf of the members of the Gladstone City Council and all Gladstone residents, will observe May 11 through 17, 2025, as National Police Week in the City of Gladstone and publicly salute the service of law enforcement officers in our community and in communities across the nation. Glad we only have 3 of these. Okay. The next one is Emergency Medical Services Week. Whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service, and whereas the members of emergency medical services teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury, and whereas emergency medical services fills healthcare gaps by providing important out-of-hospital care, including preventative medicine, follow-up care, and access to telemedicine. And whereas the emergency medical services system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the public, and other out-of-hospital medical care providers. And whereas the members of emergency medical services teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical services providers by designating the Emergency Medical Services Week. Now, therefore, I, Les Smith, Mayor of the City of Gladstone, Missouri, in recognition of this event, on behalf of the members of the Gladstone City Council and all Gladstone residents, do hereby proclaim May 18 to 24, 2025 as Emergency Medical Services Week in the City of Gladstone, and encourage the community to observe this week with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities in honor of the EMS profession and the essential service it provides.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is communications from the audience. Members of the public are invited to speak about any topic not listed on the agenda. While speaking, please state your name and address for the record. Limit your comments to 5 minutes. Because of item number 16 on our agenda, we will make an exception, and we'll hear from anyone who would like to speak to the council about the ongoing election issue. We ask that you hold your comments, as I said, to 5 minutes. There's a red bar on the TV screens that will indicate when your 5 minutes is up, and this will be your only opportunity to address this issue. Thank you.
For the record, my name is Molly Gibson. My address is 7212 North Highland Avenue. Good evening, Mayor, City Council members. I appreciate the ability to speak with you again this evening. Tonight I stand before you not just as the Gladstone City Councilwoman-elect or as a resident of Gladstone. Tonight I stand before you as a person who is deeply committed to serving this community. As someone who believes in the power of everyday people bringing professional skill and personal heart to public service. I work in the transportation industry. My job is a vice president of client success. I've led strategic teams. I've managed multi-million-dollar campaigns. I've supported the very drivers who keep the goods moving across our country. My job is to solve problems, to build trust, and it is to continue to have a steady commitment to working families. I understand that the policy between having the strategic and human angle, because I have lived it, I have led through it, and I have spent my career helping others in order to do the same. At the last meeting, I was encouraged to hear the promise of transparency around the vacancy of the process. I took that very seriously, and I believe that the residents of Gladstone did as well. 2 weeks have passed, and there has been no communication or clear direction, and I'm here tonight simply to ask, what's next? Over 900 people in this city cast their vote in April, and that vote should mean something. If the council is still deliberating, I respect that process, but the public deserves clarity. Transparency to me is more than just a principle. It is a promise to the people who live here, and I am hopeful that we will see that upheld tonight. I want the council to know that I remain steady in my ability to serve and bringing not only my professional experience and my strong sense of integrity, but also a deep belief that effective local government begins with practical leadership grounded in everyday community life. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Dave Hickman. I live at 7307 North Euclid Avenue. Wrote it down because sometimes I don't remember everything I want to say. I'm here to express my deep concern and frankly disappointment regarding the City Council's response to the outcome of the recent municipal election held in April, in which Molly Gibson was elected by the voters to serve on the Gladstone City Council. It has come to my attention that despite receiving a clear mandate from the electorate, Ms. Gibson is being prevented from assuming her duly elected role. All of this reportedly due to a personal property tax that was delinquent for a brief period between the time of her candidacy filing and the certification of election results. Let me be clear, this situation does not involve any criminal act, ethical breach, or disqualifying misconduct. Rather, it concerns an issue that many working families across Missouri have faced at one time or another. The inability to pay such taxes on time, or even an oversight in doing so, should not be weaponized to override the will of the people. In this case, the matter was resolved promptly before the election was even certified, and should not be used post facto to justify removing an elected representative. The city's move to declare the seat vacant to appoint Ms. Gibson's opponent, an individual who lost in a Democratic election, is nothing short of dismissive of the rights of voters. Mr. Garno may have served honorably during his 13 years in the council, but the voters have made a different choice. Attempts to circumvent their decision not only erodes public trust, but also sets a troubling precedent where technicalities are prioritized over democratic outcomes. Public service should be inclusive of those who understand firsthand the financial realities that many of us residents face. To suggest that a temporary delinquency in personal property taxes, especially one that was swiftly addressed, renders someone unfit for office is both short-sighted and unjust. The city of Gladstone must not hide behind bureaucratic minutia or exploit procedural ambiguity to block the voice of the citizens. It is imperative that the City Council honor the results of the election and allow Molly Gibson to take her rightful place as an elected member of the City Council. Any action to the contrary would be viewed not only as rejection of democratic principles, but also as politically motivated subversion of the electorate's will. The citizens of Gladstone are paying attention. We have long memories, and we care deeply about the integrity of our local government. I urge you to do what is right, just, and democratic by reversing any attempt to nullify Ms. Gibson's victory and ensuring her full participation as a City Council member. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Jim Oldebeck, and I reside at 400 Northeast 76th Terrace. I appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight regarding the recent April municipal election and the concerns that have followed. First, I want to express sincere thanks to both individuals who stepped up to run for office. Our democratic process depends on those willing to put their names forward and engage the public in debate and decision-making. As we look back on the election, I believe it's helpful to return to the foundational values of democracy and for once to define it. According to Stanford University's Larry Diamond, democracy stands on 4 pillars: citizens who are informed and engaged in government, free and fair elections, the rule of law, and equal rights, equally protected for all. Like many citizens, I followed the post-election controversy closely and sought clarity for myself. To better understand the situation, I submitted public records requests to the City of Gladstone, the Clay County Board of Election Commissioners, and the Clay County Collector. Here's what I learned. The Clay County Collector's public records, also available on their website, show that the challenger failed to pay personal property taxes on time each year since 2020. The election board public records seem to indicate that the challenger did not vote in any Gladstone City Council elections since 2016 until her own candidacy this year. City Council minutes seem to suggest she has not spoken at City Council meetings in recent years. Public information on Gladstone's website seem to indicate she has not served recently on boards and commissions. These facts raise concerns, not about her rights as a candidate, which always must be respected, but about her record of civic responsibility. Democracy is not just about getting on the ballot. It's about participation, accountability, and setting an example for others. This includes complying with municipal codes and state laws regarding candidate eligibility, which were, I believe, read at a previous council meeting. I need some water. In a system governed by the rule of law, standards apply equally to all. When those who seek public office disregard those standards, they don't just risk their credibility, they shortchange the very voters they aim to serve, and especially those voters who voted for them. I was one of them. I voted for the challenger, but tonight I'm here to emphatically ask the council to not appoint her to the current vacancy as she and her supporters have requested. I say this not to discourage not to discourage engagement, but to encourage it. more informed, more sustained, more accountable. The strength of Gladstone in any democracy depends on citizens who show up, pay attention, and play by the same rules. Let us move forward together, committed to those principles. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Oldebecken. Is there anyone else who'd like to address the council this evening?
Sandy Hudson, 2622 Northeast 74th Street in Gladstone. I'm a Gladstone resident over 50 years. I'm not originally from here. And the brief time that I did move out of Gladstone, I moved back because I love the community. And honestly, I am shocked that we're even here having this discussion because I understand all of, all of the details about the taxes and all of that. However, the way it's laid out, we were told it would be transparent. I wrote emails to everyone on the council, and I never even got so much as an acknowledgement that you received it. Like I didn't expect you to tell me anything. I just expected an acknowledgement, and I got nothing. So we voted for Molly. Molly got the majority of the votes. And as far as we can tell from the process, although it doesn't seem to be completely transparent, but it seems like she's eligible to be appointed. And she was elected by the people in Gladstone, and I feel that she should be appointed. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Mary Ann McCormley. I live at 7033 North Askew Avenue. I've been a resident of Gladstone for 25 years. This is the first time I've come to a Gladstone City Council meeting, and I'm nervous to be here, but I felt really compelled to be here because of what's taken place this last month. I don't know Molly Gibson. We just met outside, but I know right from wrong. I know how to count. And I know that she got more votes. I understand, as the previous speaker said, the rules that made it not possible for her to be elected, but she can be appointed, and I think that's the right thing to do. I share the previous speaker's concern about the lack of transparency. I too sent emails to each one of you, and not one of you got back to me. I just really think the important thing is to do what our local newspaper said, election winner. The election winner needs to be seated. That's your job, to appoint the election winner. One thing I know about Molly is she's young and she has a young family. That's not a bad thing. In fact, it's something we desperately need in all our institutions. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello.
My name is Tammy Hahn, and my address 11228 North Central, Kansas City, Missouri. I am not a Gladstone person. I work in Gladstone. I've worked in Gladstone for a while. So I'm just down the road. And I came here tonight because what's happening in Gladstone doesn't just affect this city, it affects every city. We want to see, and we all care about democracy. We want to see the transparency in the local governments. You did promise that last time we were here. The people, they did vote for Molly. And even though it wasn't a huge win, it was a decisive victory. And the people did vote for her. Now it seems like the $60 tax bill, that's a laugh. If you've had it, that's no longer a viable excuse. Worst, it's about the silence. We've seen this before. We've seen attempts to use small technicalities to overturn elections, and we've seen democracy threatened, not by some grand conspiracy, but by quiet decisions made in the close and overnight in the dark. Gladstone voters, again, they voted for Molly, and they deserve to have their choice seated. And I hope that you would listen to them and take what they did. They voted for Molly. Let's put her in office. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, thank you for allowing me to speak this evening. My name is Bert Comstock. I live at 7600 North Park Avenue. I have been a resident of Gladstone for 25 years, a resident of the Northland area all my life, 60 years. I've been involved with the city in one form or another the whole time I've lived in Gladstone, whether it be involved in city boards and commissions, Gladfest, just a variety of things I've been involved with the city. I personally want to say thank you. I know you are following a process that is demanded by law. We can't skip the law. It's not only city, it's state law. There is a process in the books that has to be followed. It's not just appointing a random person. The law does state, if I understand that, Councilman Garnos does, since he was the previous elected person on the city council, is still seated until another person is appointed. And there is a process for that appointing, and I trust that this city council will do what they need to do to get this settled. Thank you for your time.
Anyone else? Going once. Evening.
I'm Sarah Patton. I live at 3913 Northeast 59th Street. So I haven't been in Gladstone as long as many of the people in the audience today. We moved here and bought a home 6 years ago. And like, we've always been so happy with that decision. We love Gladstone. We love the parks. We love the community center. We love that, you know, compared to other surrounding metro areas, like our emergency response times are fast. Public Works is great. Like, I always try to stay in Gladstone as long as I can on my way to work because I know the roads are going to be like plowed. And as soon as I get across that city limit line, it's not so good. But this is the first time since we've moved here that I feel uneasy living in Gladstone. At the last meeting, you know, a joke was made about how, you know, you finally figured out how to get citizens to show up to the city council meetings. But that's not necessarily a good thing. And honestly, like, it kind of like, it burns my biscuits that I have to go to work all day instead of going home to my family. Now I feel the need to come to the city council meeting. I feel like the trust that we had, the reason that we weren't showing up is because we trusted the city council. We trusted, you know, our government to do the right thing, to look at our best interests. We elected you, we trust you. Okay, now go and lead the city. And now that trust has been shaken, and that's why many of us are here for the first couple of times since this has happened. So I'd just like you guys to kind of take a minute and just sit with that thought. Okay, and I hope that you do the right thing and honor the will of the voters in appointing Molly to the city council seat. Thank you.
Thank you. We have communications from the city council. Councilman Davis.
I have nothing tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Councilman Swallow.
Thank you, Mayor. Got several items this evening. Just want to remind everyone, and especially our police chief, that it's spring and we've got a lot of kids running around. My neighborhood in particular is filled with young people, and would appreciate that concerted effort to watch for speeding on all of our roads right now. You know, it's something that we ask you to do all the time, but the kids are starting to emerge, and summer's upon us, and we've got a lot of little ones running around. So please, if we could talk to the officers about making extra patrols in those neighborhood areas for speeding. I would appreciate it. We've got several activities coming up. Citywide garage sale is this weekend, May 15th through the 18th. If you're wanting to host a garage sale, you can do so at no cost. You don't have to have a permit for that. This coming Saturday, May 17th, from 9 a.m. to 1 is our shredding event. So if you've got old documents at your house that you need to get rid of, you've got a free opportunity to drop those off at the Public Works facility on 76th Street, just north of Happy Rock Park, again this Saturday from 9 to 1. And then the annual Gladstone Chamber Area Commerce Blues Fest is Friday and Saturday night. It will be held right here at Linden Square. It's a great opportunity to get out in the community, listen to some excellent music, and sit back and relax. So hopefully we'll see you there. Thank you, Mayor.
Good, thank you. Councilman Granos.
Nothing tonight, Mayor, thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Moore.
I have nothing. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. City Manager Bob Mayer.
Nothing tonight, Mayor, thank you.
Wow. Item 13 is the consent agenda. Madam Clerk, could you please explain and read the consent agenda?
A consent agenda allows the City Council to consider and approve routine items of business without discussion. Any member of the City Council, the city staff, or the public may request removal of any item from the consent agenda and request that it be considered under the regular agenda if discussion or debate of the item is desired. Items not removed from the consent agenda will stand approved upon motion by any council member, second and unanimous vote to approve the consent agenda as published or modified. Consent agenda, consider special event permits. Oak Grove Park, Shores Real Estate Professionals Client Appreciation Picnic, Tuesday, June 17, 2025, 5 o'clock to 9 o'clock p.m. Linden Square, Trivia Night, Wednesday, July 16, 2025, and Wednesday, August 13, 2025, 7 o'clock p.m. to 9 o'clock p.m. Movie Night, Saturday, July 26, August 9, and October 18, 2025, 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock p.m. Games and activities begin at 8 o'clock p.m. and the movie starts at dusk. Happy Rock Park West, Sharp Agent Casey Remax, Revolution Client Appreciation Picnic, Sunday, July 13, 2025, 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock p.m. Household Hazardous Waste Collection for Gladstone residents, Saturday, August 9, 2025, 8 o'clock a.m. to 12 o'clock p.m., or the first 200 cars. Hamilton Heights Park, Youth Fishing Day, Saturday, September 20, 2025, 8 o'clock a.m. to 12 o'clock p.m. Resolution R-25-24, a resolution declaring the City of Gladstone a Blue Shield City committed to enhancing public safety, strengthening support for law enforcement, and building sustainable public safety partnerships. Resolution R-25-25, a resolution declaring certain city property surplus and authorizing the donation of surplus items to the Midwest Recycling Center. Resolution R-25-26, a resolution of the City Council of Gladstone, Clay County, Missouri, approving an erosion and sediment control post-construction stormwater management agreement between the City of Gladstone, Missouri and Walmart Real Estate Business Trust, a Delaware statutory trust, 2001 Southeast 10th Street, Bentonville, Arkansas, 72716-0550, attached as Exhibit A, and authorizing the city manager to execute all necessary documents. Resolution R-25-27, a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a Fifth Amendment to the antenna site lease with T-Mobile Central, LLC, at the Linden Water Tower. Resolution R-25-28, a resolution authorizing acceptance of a proposal from Target Sports Construction Central, LLC, for the Meadowbrook Park Basketball Court Resurfacing and Sidewalk, Project CP2556.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience or on staff or on council who would like to have an item removed from the consent agenda? Entertain a motion.
Mayor Smith.
Mayor Pro Tem Moore.
I move for the adoption of the consent agenda as presented.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you. Item 14 is Resolution R25-29, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with David E. Ross Construction Company in the total amount of $6,926,800 for the water treatment plant improvements project WP 2492B.
Mayor Smith,
Councilmember Spallo.
I move for the adoption of Resolution R-25-29.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Excuse me. Resolution R-25-29 has been adopted. Item 16, first reading, bill number 25-14, an ordinance authorizing Light Source Communications of Michigan, LLC, to use the city's rights of way to construct, install, operate, and maintain fiber facilities, and to authorize the city manager to execute a rights of way use agreement therewith.
Mayor Smith,
Councilmember Spallo.
I move to place bill number 25-14 on its first reading.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to place the bill on its first reading. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Madam Clerk, will you please read the bill?
First reading, bill number 25-14, an ordinance authorizing Light Source Communications of Michigan, LLC, to use the city's rights-of-way to construct, install, operate, and maintain fiber facilities, and to authorize the city manager to execute a rights-of-way use agreement therewith.
Mayor Smith,
Councilmember Spallo.
I move to accept the first reading of bill number 25-14, waive the rule, and place the bill on its second and final reading.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Madam Clerk?
Second reading, bill number 25-14, an ordinance authorizing Light Source Communications of Michigan, LLC, to use the city's rights-of-way to construct, install, operate, and maintain fiber facilities, and to authorize the city manager to execute a rights-of-way use agreement therewith.
Mayor Smith,
Councilmember Spallo.
I move to accept the second and final reading of bill number 25-14 and enact it as ordinance number 4.698.
Second?
A motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilman Davis?
Aye.
Councilmember Spallo?
Aye.
Councilman Garnos?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Moore?
Aye.
Mayor Smith?
Aye. Thank you. Item 16 is the item of vacancy on the council. Before we get started, I'm going to apologize, not apologize. This is probably 4 times longer than any statement I've ever made at a city council meeting in my 14, 15 years of doing this, but I feel it's important to bring us all back to the same place. This is probably the most divisive issue that has faced the city in many years, and that's very concerning, I think. For a lot of us, it deserves not to be rushed or abbreviated. At the last meeting, I stated that we, as a city and council, would be transparent in the process of making an appointment to the city council. I'd like to start by sharing what I believe transparency is or is not. In my view, transparency is about publicly communicating the relevant information and facts that contributed to decision-making. It's about encouraging participation and feedback on issues and allowing citizens to engage more effectively with local government. It allows those affected by decisions to know the relevant facts, as well as the process that led to those decisions. It does not mean that everyone agrees with the decision or the rationale. So following the election last April, the city found itself with a set of circumstances, facts, that it had never experienced before. The election was decided by 39 votes out of 1,773 votes cast, but at the end of the day, whether it was 39 votes, 390 votes, or 1 vote, Councilman Bill Garnos lost the election. However, the city then learned that Ms. Gibson, the candidate with the most votes, pursuant to state statutes and local ordinance, was not eligible to take the oath of office because of an unpaid tax bill. This was not of our making. The election laws don't allow the second highest vote getter to be declared the winner by default, and the state laws governing cities of the third class, like Gladstone, don't allow the council to make an exception for someone whose taxes are not paid at the time the polls close on election day. The state statutes and the city ordinances on this matter are clear and supported by case law. So the end result was a vacancy on the council, which then created the need for us to understand the options available to fill the vacancy, of which we were advised there are just 2. Since law also does not provide the opportunity for a special election, the City Council is required to appoint someone to serve until the next regularly scheduled election, which is in April of 2026. Or should we take no action, the incumbent serves until his or her successor is sworn into office. It's important to clarify the previous comment I made that the incumbent remaining in the seat is for the continuity of government. This does not mean maintaining the status quo. It means specifically in response to leaving a community with no tie-breaking vote on the opportunity to impede or limit the city's ability to conduct business. A 2-2 vote on the City Council is a no vote. So some might ask, if the process is so clear, why has it taken so long? Well, in the initial conversations following the election, the city was advised that Ms. Gibson had hired an attorney and intended to pursue a judicial opinion of the city's application of the laws related to the timing of her tax payment. The process was slowed, as it would be on any matter where there was a potential for litigation. To date, nothing has been filed. And regardless, it is the best interest of all residents of Gladstone, whether they voted in the 2025 election or not, for the council to make a decision and to allow the staff and the council to focus on policies, programs, and services that we have committed to delivering. I believe I can speak unequivocally for my fellow council members and the staff when I tell you that we respect the election process. Fair and impartial elections are the cornerstone of our government at all levels. I believe I can also speak on behalf of council and staff when I tell you that we all, the city council, the city manager, all of our directors, officers, and their department assistants have taken an oath of office to uphold the Missouri Constitution, laws governing cities of the third class, and the laws and ordinances of the city of Gladstone. And I want to be perfectly clear that any recommendation put forward to fill the council vacancy will not compromise any of these truths. The task we are facing is a very different choice than that made by voters who went to the polls on April 8th. The council has wrestled with the circumstances resulting from the April election and what the right decision would be. There are a lot of different opinions that have surfaced, and I know we have heard and listened to each and every one of them. But at the end of the day, I think it is fair to say that whatever decision is made will not please everyone. A decision not to appoint Ms. Gibson will likely be characterized by some as a rejection of the will of the people. A decision to appoint Ms. Gibson would draw criticism for rewarding someone who didn't follow the rules and subject us to criticism for setting an impossible precedent for future councils. If unpaid taxes is a significant enough event for the Constitution, shouldn't it be for us? A decision to appoint Mr. Garnos would lead many to accuse the council of resisting change or protecting one of our own. A decision not to appoint Mr. Garnos could be perceived by others as the council discounting that he could be the most logical person to continue over the next 10 to 11 months because of his previous service to the community. You know, in our form of government, it could be any of us up here right now who are sworn into the mayor's seat for the next year. At this point in time, I'm the one who has the privilege of serving. Not to say that this is the ideal situation to slide into, but if it is my responsibility to try and build consensus, then I can tell you that I believe the best decision for Gladstone as an entire community is to appoint someone who is equipped to step into the seat with the benefit of understanding what the most relevant and important issues are for this city on day one. Now, some have taken to social media to be quite critical of this council and what you think has been happening behind the scenes. The fact is, the things we are being accused of doing is nothing more than giving our community an undeserved black eye. It's probably time to put that to a stop because it's not healthy, it's not accurate, and it's not productive. Those who are actively engaged in our community on an ongoing basis know this is a very well-managed city and a pretty darn good place to live, work, and play. Excuse me, we'll have none of that, thank you. Some have obviously, get back up, but I digress. From the very first moment the city attorney and city manager realized there was a problem with Ms. Gibson's eligibility, the city manager has been very respectful about how Ms. Gibson might wish to approach this. In other words, Molly put her name on the ballot, got the most votes, but is ineligible. If the city manager didn't want to be responsible for embarrassing her, gave her an opportunity to work out of this however she wished. That has turned around and unfairly bitten us. To the credit of my colleagues, both elected and city staff, they have taken shot after shot for things that just aren't true, yet through all the noise, they have remained committed to doing what is best for the community they swore to serve. So this is probably as good a time as ever for me to cut to the chase. I am only one vote up here, but I can tell you that, for many of the reasons stated earlier, I will not be able to support appointing Ms. Gibson to this council. She simply violated the rules, and contrary to the press release provided by the CCDCC, it was not a one-time oversight. Accordingly, although based on his tenure and the fact that Mr. Garnos is an excellent councilman and has been for many years, extremely dedicated to this community, I cannot support appointing him either, because quite frankly, he lost the election. What most of you don't realize, which speaks to Bill's integrity, is he understands the situation and has stated that he feels he should not be appointed either. He is staying on as a conscientious councilman should under the law and will gracefully step away once an appointment is made. Is this a win for Ms. Gibson? No. Is this a win for Mr. Garnos? No. And if they so wish, Ms. Gibson and Mr. Garnos can file to run again next April and let the voters decide in a qualified election. But for now, our aim is to find a win for the entire community. And I think this is where the decision and the discussion starts. It's been requested over the past month for this process to be as expedient as possible. One option in making an appointment is for the council to accept applications from interested qualified people in the community, conduct interviews, and make an appointment. However, this can be time-consuming as a process for a short-term appointment at a time when we have a lot of things going on in Gladstone. The knowledge and familiarity with the process is critical. Whether it be part contracts and projects in the works, the AJ Farm Event Center contract you heard about earlier, construction and implementation, road funding and contracts, the annual budget we're in the final stages of putting together, or a possible major real estate development under discussion, I personally feel it's imperative to fill the seat with someone who has a basic knowledge of the challenges and a grasp of the process. So after giving this a lot of thought over the weekend, I would like to recommend one of two options to my fellow council members. As for taking applications and conducting interviews, I propose a hybrid. We do so, but we extend it only to current board and commission members. We could give them a week from tonight on 5/19 to submit a letter of interest, interview them the week after Memorial Day, and still be able to make an appointment at our next council meeting on June 9, thus not leaving us with a possible tie vote situation. An alternative to the interview process would be for the council to directly appoint someone to the vacant seat. From my perspective, if that route is what the council prefers, then the chairman of the Planning Commission would be my recommendation. The Planning Commission is the city's most active board and has the most practical experience in dealing with long-reaching, substantial issues affecting the community. It has the legal responsibility to review and make recommendations on various planning matters such as rezoning, site plan reviews, zoning ordinance amendments, street vacation, and future land use recommendations. The current chairman of the Planning Commission is Cameron Nave. He is a young man who is a commercial banker. He serves on the Emerging Leaders Council for Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Kansas City. He is a Missouri Master Gardener and applied to serve on boards and commissions during our open enrollment period held each year for interested citizens. Additionally, by virtue of his Planning Commission chairmanship, Mr. Nave also serves on the Capital Improvements Program Committee, which is responsible for reviewing the infrastructure needs of the city and recommending an annual capital improvements program to the City Council. In the city's 73-year history, both methods have been used to fill council vacancies, so either would seem consistent with past practices. I'm interested to hear and participate in a discussion with my fellow council members in an effort to make a decision on how best to move forward, put this behind us, and allow our staff to get on with conducting city business. The end. A lot. Threw at you. Any questions on my thought process or anything else?
Question for you, Mayor. So your recommendation would be to appoint Chairman of the Planning Commission Cameron Nave, and that would be to fill this vacancy until next April's election.
Correct. One or two of the other. The one, obviously, appointing Mr. Nave is probably most familiar with all of our city business from a board and commission standpoint, would be the most expeditious. I think out of the two, if you're asking me which direction I would choose to go, that would be my direction.
Mayor Smith.
Councilmember Spallo.
Thank you so much for the comments this evening. They're well received. They are true. They are fact. It is the truth that each one of us took an oath to the Constitution of the state of Missouri. One that I take very seriously. This is my second term on the city council. I was the mayor this past year. This is very difficult for the five of us. We love Gladstone, just like you do. It is very difficult to have conversations in public when they want to know what's going on in Gladstone, because we are known as a city that has, for decades now, have been one that has provided the opportunity for the community to participate in everything we do. Everything. You guys make decisions. We allow you to make decisions. We want you to help us make decisions. That is why each year we provide the opportunity for individuals to participate in the process for our boards and commissions. Unfortunately, in all of the years I've been on the city council, I've never seen Ms. Gibson apply for one of these positions, come to a city council meeting, and participate as a citizen. I want you to, Molly. We do. We invite you to do that. I cannot support your appointment right now. I do like the idea of appointing Mr. Nave. He's a fine young man. He has done a great job in the planning commission. And I think that would be the route to go, especially with what the mayor has said regarding all of the things that are going on in Gladstone. If you're paying attention, a town of 28,000 people is exceeding expectations every day, every single day. And that's the direction we want to keep going. And I think that Mr. Nave would allow us to do that and to move on from this. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Anyone else?
Mayor, for the good of the city, I would support us moving ahead with the decision this evening.
Any other comments? I think that's very well stated. It's an unfortunate position. We do want people to get involved. We need them to get involved. We want Molly to get involved. We're just between a rock and a hard spot, and I would agree. This is the best way to go.
Mayor Smith.
So before we say that, I do want to say a couple things. And one, Sandy and Marianne, I believe, ladies, you both sent emails to us. We were under guidance of our attorneys. So I want you to know that, and we will take that into consideration, that you should at least get acknowledgement emails, and we are sorry for that. Absolutely. And it shouldn't have mattered that we should have been able to say, although I don't even know how to respond on that email, but that's a different subject for the different day. But I apologize. You should at least get acknowledged. Yes, we hear you. Yes, we understand. Unfortunately, we cannot talk about it or whatever it may be because of the recommendations. So with that from all of us, we apologize for that.
Mayor Pro Tem Moore.
Mayor Smith, I'm pleased and proud to nominate Cameron Nave to fill the council vacancy. A number of us first met Cameron when he applied for a board and commission seat in the fall of 2020. He's a graduate of the Gladstone Leadership Academy and came to the interview with enthusiasm and a desire to give back to the community that he calls home. We knew he was a great fit then, and we appointed him to the Capital Improvements Committee, And after that, he was appointed to the Comprehensive Plan Task Force and then served tirelessly on the Comp Plan Advisory Committee that paved the way for the adoption of our comp plan in 2022. We appointed him to the Planning Commission in 2022, and he's capably served on that commission since that time, and this year was elected by his fellow commissioners to serve as chair of the Planning Commission. And because of that position, he also serves as chair of the city's Capital Improvements Committee. As the council liaison to the Planning Commission and CIP, I've had a front row seat to see Cameron in these positions. Cameron knows and loves this city and has demonstrated strong leadership abilities along with a deep commitment and a passion to serve and share his time and talents. He's an excellent and fitting appointment to this vacancy. He will serve Gladstone and its residents with intellect, professionalism, and dedication.
Mayor Smith, I will second that motion, but I'd like to make comments. Is that later?
No, as soon as I get a motion and a second, and then I say any discussion?
Sorry.
You have a motion and a second, any discussion?
I do have some discussion. One, I would like to thank you, Bill. You have done a phenomenal job here and appreciate you for what you've done. I'm excited to have learned from you. I'm excited to still pick your brain. You are the most brilliant mind I've been around. Molly, wherever you are, I want to thank you as well. I appreciate being a part of this, and I hope this is not a goodbye. I hope this is let's get to work and come back. But Jim, as you mentioned, this is about accountability. And accountability is a word that was thrown around today a little bit, and that's a little bit offensive to an extent. And I just want to thank everybody for being here. But again, I hope this isn't a goodbye. It is let's get to work type of comment. So I'll leave it at that.
Very good. Is there any other discussion? Madam Clerk, will you please do a roll call on this?
Councilman Davis?
Aye.
Councilmember Spallo?
Aye.
Councilman Garnos?
Abstain.
Mayor Pro Tem Moore?
Aye.
Mayor Smith?
Aye. Vacancy on this has been filled on the city council by vote Cameron Nave to serve until the next person is duly elected and sworn into office. Is there any other business? None. We're adjourned. Thank you.